Hey guys, I'm hanging out in Marin, California, just north of San Francisco. I'm actually right by the New Wheel. Their shop is just behind this bike path. Really great place to ride around. There's some wildlife, just beautiful out here. And I'm looking at the Focus Jarifa 29. This is the decidedly men's version of the value hardtail with Bosch CX drive system from Focus. And I was looking at the Focus Jarifa 27 Donna, and it's white with pastel blue and purple, whereas this is gray and kind of a neon yellow. And apparently men and women have been a little bit more attracted to this one. I personally think that the dark grays and blacks, they blend together a little bit better than white. The motor casing on the Bosch drive system is black, and we've got the chain ring protector, and this is aluminum, very nice. Black battery with some gray. They've got the gray cover, and then up here I'm used to seeing this almost like a sparkly gray, usually on the Bosch Active line, but no, this is the CX. They've just got the different colored bezels. Pretty nice setup here. Price on this is $27.99. Very affordable for a Bosch CX drive system. One of the ways they're saving money is giving you a Powerpack 400 versus the 500. Just not as much capacity there. A little bit lighter, 5.4 pounds versus 5.7. Same interface, so you could take this off and you could put a Powerpack 500 on it. Maybe you get a second battery pack. One of the things I really like about this bike is that it has the knobby tires. They're able to take you from something like this, or just on a boardwalk, to concrete. A little bit of buzzing and stuff, but it gives you some comfort, and then you can just transition right over to a dirt path or take it up into the hills. If I was going to classify this as a mountain bike, I'd say, okay, it's cross-country. We've got 100mm travel on this SR Suntour XCM suspension fork. A little bit more basic, right? The stanchions are silver. It's not Kashima coated or anything like that. It gets the job done, and it does have remote lockout, which is very nice when you're pedaling along and maybe you're getting some bobbing, you're climbing a hill or something, especially if you stand up. That doesn't happen as much on e-bikes because you've got the motor assist, but let's just pretend that you're I don't really need that. I've already got the suspension, or the knobby tires, the ergonomic grips. Let's just lock it out. Well, you can do that on the fly, just that easily, and then pop it back. So that's sweet. It's also got preload adjust over here, so that's sort of how hard you have to hit something before the suspension activates, and that's another way to take off some of the bobbing. I guess it's cross-country, sort of getting around town, and then if you added a rear rack using these Bosses, and you want to make sure it's disc brake compatible, then you could turn this into a fun commuter. So it could be I feel like when I was in college, I only had space in my dorm for one bike, and I really didn't have that much extra money, and I was worried about getting stolen and stuff, so I had to make kind of these compromises. A bike like this does a really great job of hitting that lower price point, giving you some comfort, some versatility, but still a really good drive system, and that's why this is $27.99 instead of something like a Rad Power bike that's $1,500. This is going to last longer. It's much more efficient, much better range. Even though the battery pack is only 400 watt hours, these motors, they can really go far if you shift appropriately and you lose the lower levels of assist. We have a 9-speed Shimano Dior drivetrain, very good, 11 to 34 teeth, so great range here for climbing or for hitting and even exceeding the top assisted speed of 20 miles per hour. 18-tooth chain ring up there. It spins at about 2.5 revolutions for every crank arm revolution, and the smaller sprocket, this is sort of a Bosch-specific design here. It's supposed to grab the chain a little bit better, but one of the compromises is that look how close the chain is to that right chainstay, and there's no plastic slap guard. So, it's basically a brand new bike, and there aren't any nicks, but I guarantee over time, if you're going over bumpy terrain with this is going to get banged up a little bit. The paint might chip. The other version, the Jarifa 27 Donna, it actually had a neoprene slap guard on it. So I don't want to say one way or another. Maybe the shop just forgot to put it on. But if there's nothing and there's no sticker, then to me, that's just something that's super cheap that they kind of overlooked, and over time it's going to get banged up. And again, I'm in a lower gear, so see the bigger sprockets, it keeps the chain higher. If I shifted to a higher gear, these tiny sprockets, the chain would be right next to that, and it's kind of no good. Concept pedals, plastic. Concept it seems to be the Focus in-house brand. There it is on the seat post again. We've got it on the stem, flat bar. And, you know, whatever. They're just kind of these quick pieces that finish the bike off. The fact that you get pedals on this, lower end bikes usually come with pedals versus the really high end ones. They expect that you have, you know, clipless and you've got your own shoes and everything. Plastic isn't my favorite, but this is a pretty good platform. You got a big surface area for traction and then those knobs that are going to help you so you don't slip if it's wet. There are provisions for adding a front fender and a rear fender. You can see it as a threaded eyelet there, and then even down there on the motor casing. So this is something that could really be outfitted over time, that you could get it and you could work on it and you could really dial it in. Even this seat post right here, so that's 27.2 millimeters. I believe it's 310 long. You could swap that out with a seat post suspension and then create sort of a full suspension feel. Not as great as a real full suspension, but still, you're keeping the battery weight, the motor weight low in center. You're getting a little bit of comfort going on, dialing the handlebars. It's fun. It definitely gets my mind turning, and you'd have money left over to mess with those things and really make it your own. Double-walled, 29-inch rims, black spokes and nipples there, and then we've got those eyelets, reinforcement eyelets. So that's designed to be a little bit stronger. And I was looking online, and it seems like this is almost 300-pound max weight. Actually, I don't think I saw that online. It was right here on underneath the frame. So it says max 130 kilograms. So I did the conversion. That's back at the site, along with the reach, the standover height. This comes in 4 different sizes, and they are slightly larger than on the Jarifa 27 Donna. Again, his and hers is kind of how this is set up. It still goes pretty small, and 4 frame sizes is great. They're all diamond like this, but that top tube is angled, so the standover height's going to be a little bit lower. But if you do the suspension seat post, that adds about 3 inches. So you just kind of want to keep in mind some of these parts are going to change the geometry a little bit. Slide the saddle back and forth and whatever. 29-inch wheels and tires plus that 2.2 inches. They're bigger. 29ers were real popular for a while for mountain biking, and especially trail riding, because it's like, cool, I can just cruise right over things. I don't need to be quick and steering around rocks. You get a lower attack angle, so even on these wood like logs here, as we're going over, the tire just coasts right over rather than kind of falling into it and vibrating as much. So it does feel comfortable. There's even more air in there, so that combined with the suspension, you start to get the idea. It's a little more comfortable, but I have fallen on a bike like this where I was going really fast and I turned, and it's just, there's more rolling momentum here, and it's smooth and it's efficient, but there's a little bit more energy to get it going, and it's just, I don't know, for me it slid out a little bit easier. There's maybe the way that the tire turns, it's not grabbing and quite as precise. It's more like a lumbering sort of like momentum feel, and I'm just speaking from my own experience here. I'm not like a pro rider or anything. And I still do really like the 29er setup. Yeah, quick release, 9mm skewers front and rear, so you can take these wheels off if you're trying to fit this in the back of your friend's trunk or something. Nice to be able to do that, because, you know, there is a lot here. This bike weighs 50.5 pounds. The battery pack's 4.5, so you take the battery, you take the wheels off, and you can take the Intuvia display panel off, and that's another area. So even though this is the same price as the Jarifa 27 Donna, it had a Bosch Purion tiny little display. The buttons aren't as easy to click, in my opinion. It's not removable. It doesn't have the USB charging port on the side. So if I was a woman, even though that one's white and whatever, I would probably get this one. They're the same price, and you get a better setup. Now, both of them do have bottle cage bosses, sort of. There really isn't enough room for a bottle cage there, and they had to position them really low because that seat post needs to be able to slide down and give you some adjustability. I think that's for like a folding lock or a mini pump. I like that they included them. A lot of times manufacturers just completely skip that, and it's nice to have the option if you can. So you can see the small designation right there. That's the frame size we're on. 170mm cranks. I already talked about this bash guard, but it doubles. You see how it's kind of curved? That's going to keep your pants clear a little bit, and maybe just keep that chain on track so it won't bounce around. Bosch does have shift detection, so as you're shifting through those 9 gears back here, it's going to be a little bit smoother. And Dior is a higher component group. It's part of like mid-level from Shimano. Should hold up a little bit better over time. And with that shift detection, you know, the system's very smart. It's measuring your wheel speed with that sensor down there and that magnet. It's measuring pedal cadence and pedal torque 1,000 times per second. So this is one of the better systems out there, and it matches your RPM up to 120 pedal strokes per minute. okay? Whereas some of the other lower end systems, it's only 100. So as you start getting those higher RPMs, you want the motor there with you, and some of them drop out earlier than Bosch. So this is just great. And the CX line, that's their high torque 75 Newton meter motor. You know, it's great for like mountain biking and stuff. It's zippy, it's powerful. It might not be as efficient using that battery, but you know, that's up to you to decide. Are you gonna go all the way up to turbo, or are you gonna use eco mode and save? One of the new features is they can update this display with the new software, and it gives you EMTB mode, mountain bike mode, and basically that's where sport mode, which is the second highest, it gives you the full range of power from 0 all the way up to 100%, all without having to click any of these buttons or anything. It really relies more on torque at that point. So a lot of people, when they're mountain biking, it's like, yeah, just get into EMTB mode, and then the bike just sort of does its own thing. And it's smooth, and Bosch really did a good job dialing that in. I think it's kind of hard to have a do-everything mode and succeed, but you know, in my experience so far, it did a good job. You know, if I've experimented with it and done like wheelies and stuff, and that's not something you can do in the other modes. It's just not as fluid. You don't get that ramp of power. So that's unique, and that's something that's 2017. You can ask your dealer about that. I'm gonna go ahead and boot up the display here. Comes on relatively quickly, and it shows your battery capacity, 5 little bars, speed, miles per hour. You can change miles per hour to kilometers per hour by holding reset and I, and there's like a whole menu selection you can go through. There's a power meter, so you can see it going up and down as we ride. And then down here, there's trip stats. So right now it's like trip distance, but if we hit I, here or here, it cycles through to clock, max speed, average speed, trip time, and range. So again, more readouts than the Purion, the little one. But if you crash, this might be a little bit more vulnerable. So anyway, range is cool because as we arrow up, pressing that plus button to eco mode, it says, oh, 34 miles. This is not a full battery pack, right? It's just, you know, kind of based on how this has been riding recently, and even the temperature outside can make a difference. To really maintain your battery, you want to keep it in kind of a cool, dry location. Extreme cold and extreme heat are kind of tough on it. The Bosch charger is really great, but that's another area where they cut back a little bit on this model. You only get a 2 amp charger. It's a little bit smaller, whereas, you know, the more premium bikes come with a 4 amp charger. It's charging twice as fast. So I don't know, it gets the job done, but it's just another area that they had to consider, you know, hitting that $27.99 price point. So I'm gonna arrow all the way up to turbo. Only 11 miles is what they're estimating. But again, this is not a full battery pack. And then there's this walk mode button on top. You press that, and then you hold plus, and then it walks. So remember I said this is a 50-pound bike. If you're trying to get up a section of hill, or maybe you've got a rack on the back that's full of groceries and stuff, it's nice to have that walk mode. And I think there are some displays, some companies that didn't have walk mode enabled, and then EMTB mode wasn't as easy to update to, so it's nice that this one just works straight away. And then that kickstand, it's adjustable length, it's clear of the pedals and the crank arm, so if you pedal backwards, here, let's just do it. See, I'm walking the bike backwards and the pedal automatically turns. That happens a lot when you're like coming out of your garage or just maneuvering the bike, and a lot of bikes have kickstands right here, and it collides. And a lot of mountain bikes, they don't even have kickstands. So to me, this is another area where it's like, yeah, this isn't really that high end of a mountain bike. It's just kind of a trail capable. You know, it does a lot. It's the college student bike. That's really how I think of it. And I think it looks pretty cool. I'm excited about it. So let's do it. I'm gonna hop on this thing, ride around a little bit. I apologize that I'm not really in the mountains, but hopefully you'll still get the idea. I'm gonna head towards a hill. I'm in turbo mode right now. I'm in gear 3. Feeling pretty smooth. Here's a bicycle roundabout. I love this thing. Check it out. Woo. It does help if you let off a little bit while you're shifting, but the shift detection is decent. It's better than nothing. Now check out this hill. See how steep that is? I'm in a low gear. I'm gonna stop near this sign where we're already climbing. complete stop here, okay? And the bike wants to slide. And now I'm gonna start pedaling. You gotta push a little bit, but it is torque sensing. And then let's see how it does going up this hill. Here we go. There it is. Once it started, it worked, but I'm doing this one hand. This is a fairly steep hill, and I had to go maybe like a quarter of a crank revolution for it to actually engage. So to me, I'm still very impressed with this. The Shimano motor, by comparison, I think it would stall some of the other lower torque motors. But once you've got some speed, we're having no problem. I'm really not pushing that hard at this point. Nice. Well, this is a fun one. I hope it helps you out. I know people are always looking for like bargains and what's the best bike for the money. The suspension is a little bit more basic on this one. Even the design, the battery's not built into the frame the way that some of the newer Bosch systems are, where it's kind of tucked away. But I do like the color scheme. You're still getting some really high-end components here. Well, I guess the drive system is the real key, and maybe the drivetrain. But this doesn't have the Shadow Plus, like the clutch. The disc brakes, they're 180 millimeter, and they work pretty well. 3-finger levers with adjustable reach, so you could bring them in if you were wearing gloves or something like that, or put them out if you're a taller rider. I think all in all, it's a pretty sweet bike. For the full write-up on this, I'll see you back at ElectricBikeReview.com. Of course, have fun out there, ride safe. I'll see you on the trail.